Hello everyone and welcome back to another season of Tea with Timbsy. I am back, third season, episode 1, and I'm absolutely honoured to say I'm joined by a very good friend of mine, someone who I'm lucky to have worked with and just know in real life. It is Jermaine Jenas.
How you doing, my friend?
How you doing, brother?
It's been a minute, hasn't it?
It has. I've tried to get you on for a long time.
Yeah.
It's been about a year now, but you finally come on.
Yeah, I mean, busy is a thing that comes up a lot.
You are busy.
Yeah, but like, yeah, I've really enjoyed the journey. Like, it's been amazing. And I just know that, to be honest with you, I wanted to see if your show was any good before I came on. That's the bottom line. I was like, is this Tea with Timbsy going to be any good? And then what?
Totally
three seasons in?
Yeah, third season now.
I love it.
Yeah,
love it. Big
thank
fan
you, brother.
Big fan. And of course, you're a talented boy as well. So.
Oh, thank you, mate. You didn't have to say that, just because it's on my show.
And you're top of the league, so I'm going to have to be nice to you as well.
Yeah, it's true. Don't worry, I'm not, mate, we've all been there. I'm not going to be too nasty. It is Tea with Timbsy. Mm-hmm. Are you a big tea man?
Massive tea man, yeah, I love a tea. But when you messaged me and said, like, what do you want? There was no mention of biscuits.
I see what you mean.
So there's no like, oh, like, do you like a hobnob or do you want a custard cream or like a chocolate digestive? So I just thought, well, I'll have a green tea with honey then.
Yeah.
Because I'm trying to cut down on the caffeine, basically.
Okay.
So if there was some dippers here, this green tea would be nowhere to be seen.
Okay, and then what would it be?
It'd be a standard tea with 1 sugar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like
Actually,
builder's
half
tea?
a sugar now. Like builder's tea, half a sugar, yeah. But my missus goes mad at me, right? Because she makes me tea, I never drink it. I just dunk biscuits.
That is just a bit rude, though.
But I like the dunking of the biscuits and then the eat, and then the tea's done its job.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
So you're a dunker man. Okay, well, I'm joining you, so cheers.
Yeah,
Thank you.
cheers, my friend, cheers. Healthy green tea.
It's all right. I don't have green tea much, but...
You know what our work's like? You turn up into the studio and they go,
yeah.
Do you want a coffee? Do you want a coffee? Like straight away, do you want coffee? Like, and before I know it, before I go on air, I've had like 5 coffees.
Yeah. And I don't think it even helps me. Like, to a certain point where you rock up there first thing in the morning, you do need, like, it's almost the smell of it almost just to wake you up.
Yeah.
But then after a while, a few coffees deep, and I'm just like, I don't know if I can concentrate anymore.
Yeah, I don't drink it in the mornings at all.
Oh, really?
Bottle of water straight away. Bosh.
Yeah, no, I've done that as well.
Love water. The reason why I slowed down on it was this, right? I was doing a documentary, and whilst I was promoting it, I was like on like breakfast shows, then you're doing radio, and then you're doing evening shows, just promoting the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then I was going to work, like on the one show later that night. And then after a bit, I don't know if anybody's ever had this, and I don't know if you're kind of like viewers, listeners, have had this situation, but my eye started twitching.
Yes, mate, I've had that.
Started twitching like mad, right? And I'm on camera. I feel like my eye's going like this on camera. But everyone's going, Jay, we can't see anything wrong with you. Like, just get on with the work. So I said, no, I've got to go see the doctor. So I went to see him, and he just said, look, it's either 2 things, stress or coffee. And he said, just cut the coffee out for like a week, see what happens.
Yeah.
I cut it out for a day, it vanished.
Yeah.
And I had it constantly every day for 2 weeks.
No, I've had that as well.
Yeah.
I didn't realise it would just be coffee. Though. I just thought I was just, I'm a bit weird. So I just
slowed
thought,
down.
Okay, nice.
That's got to be the longest chat ever on tea and coffee you've ever had.
Welcome to Tea with Timbsy. So yeah, obviously I've wanted to get you on for a while just because, you know, we've been working together for a while now, doing BBC stuff. And for you, I mean, I've spoken to Denz about this a lot as well, actually.
Yeah.
I think, because a lot of people say, mate, Denz, he's travelling around doing so much stuff. I actually think you are probably the busiest person I know. Busiest as in not like a muggy one, but like you have the busiest schedule out of anyone I know in like this kind of area of work. Yeah. Does it feel like it's a bit hectic?
You know what? It's got better, if anything. When I very first started, like my whole goal when I very first started, so I retired when I was like 31, and it was like, right, this is a field that you can get into. There was a gap where I didn't know what I was going to do, but to kind of fast forward, how are you going to treat this? And I just decided there and then, right, I'm going to treat this career exactly how I treated my football career. So when I started off trying to be a footballer, there was no stone unturned. It was like, get to know every element of the industry. So obviously I was working hard, running, sit-ups, this, that, and the other, football, technical side, got there in the end. With this, it was just like, do radio, do television, you know, opportunities that are coming your way, take them on and see if you like them or not. And then it just became a bit of a beast, obviously, over a period of time. Yeah. But actually, like right now, I am busy, but it's a lot more structured. Yeah. And it's a lot less frantic. I'm not on as many trains, and I'm not flying up and down the motorway. So it feels calmer. And if anything, I intend on going that way. Quality, you know, more quality, quantity. Less quantity. Yeah, is the road that I'm trying to go down now.
No, I think 'cause it reminds me of like when I was at Copper as well, and we went on like a 2-3 year run of just filming all the time. Yeah. Where like it was almost us being sent everywhere, rather than now I feel like I'm more in control of like I'm doing these things. You know, even though it's the same stuff. People, you're still working with people, but it's just like maybe a shifted mentality of like, of course, I'm in control of my diary rather than like over the next 3 weeks I've got to go to these 5 different countries, fly here, and it's just all gets a bit crazy.
You probably know yourself better as well, though.
I think so.
When you first start out, you're a bit like, yeah, I'll do it, yeah, I'll do it. And then after a bit, you start going, that's not me. I'm not doing that.
But it's good to have tried those things, though.
I think you have to.
Yeah, be open to it. Because I was going to ask, like, at what point in your career did you decide, or was it even like a very concerted effort on your part to be like, I'm going to become a broadcaster, pundit sort of thing? You didn't know?
I don't have a clue. So when I retired...
You were just desperate.
No, honestly, when I retired, I was like, I was like, what am I going to do?
You were young.
Oh yeah, I was too young.
Yeah.
I was fuming. I remember like doing my knee at QPR, and there's a coach there called Chris Ramsey, right? Chris Ramsey has brought through every coach you can think of, has passed through Chris Ramsey's fingertips at some point, just all of them. And he was at Tottenham when I was there, and he went to QPR, so we had Les, Tim Sherwood. I mean, the list goes on. It's massive. Everyone's had the experience of Chris Ramsey. And he went to me, Jermaine, go and get your boots on and come and stand by me on the touchline. And I'm convinced if I'd have done that, I'd probably be managing now. Whether it would be Premier League champion, I'd be a manager right now had I decided to put my boots on. But I couldn't think of a worse place to be at that particular time than on a football pitch.
You were just sick of it?
I was just fuming with the game. I was like, you've done nothing but give me injuries for the last 2-3 years. I've just snapped my knee in half. Yeah. I don't want anything to do with this pitch right now. So I just left. And honestly, I was in a bit of a mad space, and I just had good people around me. And like one of the craziest ones when I tell people was Dexter Blackstock.
Okay.
So me and Dex were just good friends when I played at Forest. Yeah. Kept in touch, and he was the one that woke me up a little bit. He was the one that went, Jermaine, like, you're Jermaine Jenas. You're not thinking right? I swear, no word of a lie. This is what he did, right? We were sat in Mayfair somewhere having a bite to eat. He got out his phone. He went, watch this, because he's your active guy. Yeah, yeah. Anybody that knows Dex knows he's on it. He's business mad. He's just like, he's one of those like, don't talk about it, do it type people. And picked up his phone. He like rang like an agent, give me this number for BT Sport. Bro, rings BT Sport. He got my first job at BT Sport. He booked me for my first gig at BT Sport. So it was like, hang on a minute, it's like he believes in me. Yeah. I should. And then I just did that, and I was like, quite enjoyed that. And then BBC were then interested in kind of me doing some bits and pieces anyway, but I just didn't know I wanted to do it. Yeah. But it gave me some confidence, so I kind of went, oh, I'll do it again, and I'll do it again, and it just kind of took me. Yeah. In a weird way.
That's so mad, because I remember when you started, it was weird because I didn't even like feel like I knew you retired. Yeah. And then suddenly it was just like, wait, why is he just on BBC or on BT? It was like a weird.
Well, the thing is, why people didn't know. For a year, whilst I was doing the media, I was still trying to get back playing. Okay. So I had this bad knee injury. I thought I touched the wrong knee. I don't even know what knee it is anymore. But I had this bad injury, and one of the beauties of what moulded me, I think personally, and my style as a pundit was, I was at QPR rehabbing my knee Monday to Friday, right? On Saturday, I'd go and do like Match of the Day, or I'd go and do BT Sport, or wherever, Sky Sports I was doing at the time. I was doing ITV. I was working for everyone, right? And QPR bottom of the league, like having one. And I'd be on one of these channels on a Saturday, having to criticise them, and then go sit in the dressing room on Monday morning. I walk past the gaffer in the corridors. And I remember there was a game, I did my first Match of the Day too, and QPR played against Man United away. And they got, I mean, I was sat next to Mark Chapman in the stand, because it was one of those Match of the Day 2s where you're at the stadium. Yeah. And I'm just naturally going, that's too much space. He's not got tight enough. Why is he not hitting that pass? And they're next to me, like, writing down all these notes. Yeah. And I didn't know how to do analysis at the time properly. Yeah. They're writing all this down. Anyway, end of the thing. They go, right, Jermaine, this is what you've been talking about. We're now going to do the show. Yeah. And we want you to just talk about exactly what you said. I said, right, fine. And you know what? Mark Lawrenson was amazing. So back in the day, like Loro obviously and Alan Hansen were the guys.
Yeah.
And you hear stories, but he was so giving. He went, Jermaine, it's your analysis, off you go.
Great.
Do your thing. He was brilliant. And then I did it, and then off the back of it, there was a really good response. And I thought, you know what, I think I enjoyed doing that.
Yeah.
But I still had to go into training on Monday morning.
You get pelters
and
for
I went
boys.
in, and I remember seeing Harry. And Harry went, oh, I saw your match of day at the weekend. I went, yeah. And he went, yeah, you were spot on, to be fair.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair.
And then I went in and sat in the dressing room. And honestly, I used to sit in the corner. It was like me, Nader Manua, I think Armand was there. There was a couple like in this corner. And a few of the like lads who were at the back, like Joey and a few others, like came down, Righty, all came down to speak to me and was like, I thought, here we go. And they all just went, oh, what's it like on Match of the Day? Is it any good? Like, what do they do? And they were all just interested in the show. Yeah. So I was like, oh.
And Joey's done bits now as well.
Yeah.
Joey's done a few little
What you don't realise about footballers, and no matter where they're at, everyone is dreading retiring. And
yeah, I was thinking it would be...
I was forced to cross over the bridge. And in a weird way, I was jealous of them because they were still getting to play football. But they were jealous of me because I'd like transitioned.
It's really weird.
It was a weird combo.
Well,
but
it's like that. A lot of that fear, right, of what people think with professional footballers is like when they retire, what they're going to do. They're going to waste their lives away, or you know, what are they going to be forced into?
Yeah.
But the fact that you kind of fell into it almost quite naturally. I was going to say, did the analysis part of it, right? Were you quite scared at first, where you know football?
Yeah.
You've been playing like professional football, international football, like to really, really good level. So you know the tactics and whatever. But like, is it different knowing it in your head and actually having to explain it on camera?
Yeah.
Like to Gary.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because also, on Match of the Day in particular, I would say more than any other show, because
the time constraints.
Time constraints are massive, and it's like doing what's the word I'm looking for? It's like anybody who works in like in an office job having to give a presentation, but we're giving a presentation to the country on Brighton. Yeah. On Spurs, on Arsenal. Yeah. And you know every Arsenal fan are going to be your biggest critique in the room.
Oh yeah, we hated you.
Correct, yeah. But the fact is...
I love you now,
you know what the weird thing is? Weirdly, I always got a good response from Arsenal fans. And even to this day, I get more Arsenal fans stopping me going, I don't like you, but I don't mind your punditry. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair.
I get that vibe all the time.
That must make you feel really good.
Yeah, because I think... that's what it is. Like, number one, okay, against Arsenal, I always raise my game for specific reasons, and obviously had like nice moments and shocking moments as well, by the way. We got beat more than we ever won. Yeah. But I just, scored some goals and a few that really live in the memory for a few Arsenal fans.
He's shown me.
Which is great. Yeah. But, I was very conscious that I didn't want to be negative towards Arsenal in any way, like too negative if I didn't need to be. I'm more critical of Tottenham than I think anybody. Yeah,
but that's the thing. You're allowed to be, because like if you were super critical of Arsenal, then everyone would be like, he's just bitter.
It's so obvious, isn't it?
But then it's almost like you've afforded yourself, because you played for the club for so long. Yeah. You've afforded yourself that thing of, even if he really goes in on Spurs, you have to let him because he's been there, he knows the club.
That's my thing. What I mean? Yeah. But honestly, Timbsy, I swear to you, in terms of the way that I formatted it, and again, why the QPR situation was so important in my development, was more to do with, as a player, and this is honest truth, I cared more about the players than I did the fans. The fans, to me,
I sort of understand.
Could have an impact, don't get me wrong, on me, whether it was negative or positive. Could give me confidence, could knock me down. I had to be, as most players are, you have to fight through those moments, and the players that are playing today suffer it more than any because of social media. Yeah. But I could have, in the fans' game, a bang average game, that my manager and my teammates would go, you were unbelievable today, and that would mean more to me. And
I totally understand that, though, right? Because one, these lot are like your brothers, they're your family, right? And your manager's like your dad or your boss, right? But also, as much as we want to give fans credit, and I'm talking about myself as well, I feel like I know football, right? But I don't know as much about football as the footballers at the club I love, or when you were at Spurs, as if you lot don't know. So I understand why you would appreciate that more, because you're all looking at each other going like, nah, this is... Honestly, we all know what's going on.
My mates used to go mad at me. I was in and around the England team from like 2002-03 to 2010. Yeah. Right? It was about, I think, my last game, played against Brazil away in Qatar under Capello. chased Kaka around for about 90 minutes in the mad heat.
The nicest guy, by the way, Kaka.
Lovely guy.
Lovely bloke.
And a lot of what I would class as, I mean, I only got 21 caps, you know, in a generation, which was unbelievable, by the way.
And but a lot goal.
Got the goal, but a lot of that longevity for me personally, which I would class as longevity because of that era, is was around not trying to. I never came onto the pitch going, I've got to impress in this 10 minutes I'm on. I used to go on, listen to the instructions of my manager. He'd be like, keep it tight, keep it simple. I want us to win this game.
Even Fabio, right?
Whoever, I'd just do it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's kind of, I was always just about pleasing my teammates.
Yeah.
And so when it came to being a pundit, I used to see other pundits towards the end of my career and think, all right, you're just shouting from the rooftops, trying to get some attention.
Yeah.
That wasn't me. I wanted the ability to walk down here in the street in Soho, bump into Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, who plays for Arsenal, and him go, you're right, Jermaine. Yeah, I see you criticised me at the weekend, but to be fair, you did it in the right way, and I accept that.
Yeah.
I didn't want that element of thinking, oh my God, there's Alex got across the road because I've absolutely abused him to try and get some clicks on Twitter.
Yeah. Well, also, because I feel like you probably caught the tail end of just when social media started to go absolutely mental, right?
Yeah,
so like at the beginning of your career, like when I was just watching the very beginnings of you and stuff, wasn't really, internet was about, but it's nowhere, it wasn't, there was no like social media in keeping up to date with every second.
Yeah, thank God.
But then by the end of your career, that's when it's like really heating up. So do you reckon that has like fed into when you do your punditry and stuff and your critiques of whatever, Spurs, Premier League players, does that come into your head at all? Because you know you've been there, you've been at the receiving end of absolute, you know, backlash and stuff. Does that make you maybe not be as honest or take the edge off some of the criticisms you might have of a player or a team, because you know how detrimental that could be to the player like you were watching it live?
Potentially at times. What I'm always trying to consider, right? Harry Maguire, right, is a key example. Look at your face, bro.
Here we go.
This is a liberty. No, honestly, right? So I look at someone like Harry Maguire and I go, I can't imagine what he's going through on a personal level.
Yeah.
And I really respect that he sticks his chest out and gets himself out on that pitch week after week, because I watched a lot of players that just went missing under a tiny bit of criticism. Yeah. I've got an injury, I got a back, I got this, I got that. Don't want to be, I'm not travelling away. That was happening for fun in the Premier League.
Really?
And with him, he'll know deep down he's going for a bad time.
He's not been good enough,
He's been going for a bad time. It's also weird when he plays for England. He's very good.
Yeah, on the whole.
So what, you know, you're a bit like, something's happening at this club and the pressure he's under and what people are saying on social media, whatever it may be, that's having a negative impact on this person's life. Yeah. So he's got to take himself out of it at some point, because it's not going to come back round. It's just not. It's too far gone. Yeah. But in terms of me criticising Harry Maguire, I mean, I don't know from a time-sensitive point of view, this going out and stuff, but obviously they played Sevilla, and I'm kind of going, like, you're miles off it. Yeah.
That's something more a lot of people
say. You can't sugarcoat that situation. Yeah. And he knows that. Yeah. But you also can word it in a way that is just, I used to be professional as well.
Yeah, exactly. Because if you had a shocker, right, and you had someone who was an older, but used to be a player who's now a pundit and going, Jermaine Jenas had an absolute shocker. Honestly, I don't know why he keeps playing, blah, blah, blah. You're going, geez, come on, mate. Yeah. Like, I'm trying my best.
Just word it in a different way. Like, anything you want to say that is like, I don't know, half disrespectful, like, ring me if you want. I'd rather hear it from you face to face. Yeah. Like, I remember when I've only ever had, like, I think one person ever messaged me, and I still to this day don't know whether it was a bit of a joke or not, but it didn't feel like one at the time. And I was good mates with him, and we don't really talk because we fell out anymore, but he's just gone his road, I've gone my road. Yeah. And I love him to bits. When I was at Villa with him, loveliest kid ever was Fabian Delph. Oh. And Fab's such a nice guy. Yeah. And I was doing match a day. Villa were going down. It's a bit like watching the Premier League now. Yeah. Certain things to stink. Yeah. You know,
yeah, it's true.
You just look at them and you go, you can't score goals.
But that's the thing. You want that level of honesty, though, right? Because you don't want to. I get it, and I would always probably err on the side of like wanting to protect the players because I like they're humans at the end of the day, right? Yeah. But you do want that right balance of like, you got to be honest as well. Like you can't sugarcoat. Yeah, exactly.
You know, you got to put your neck on the line at times.
Yeah.
And when it comes to kind of like a team that is steering relegation in the face with 10 games to go, and you can see it clear as day, you're going to call it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I called it. I was like, this team can't score goals.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. And then I get a text like, oh, considering you used to be here, that I thought that was a bit harsh type thing. And I just said, well, and it wasn't horrible to me.
Yeah,
I just said, well, that's just how I feel.
Yeah.
And they went down.
And
then he went to Man City and won the league.
Okay, yeah, so everyone
was happy, do you know what I mean? But it's like, just, he was in an emotional state.
Yeah.
And I was seeing it.
Yeah.
How he probably sees it now he's out of the game if he's even interested, which I don't think he is. But that is just the life of a pundit sometimes. You've got to call it.
Nice. You enjoy it though? Love it?
Yeah, I mean, it's got a bit like, there are certain pundits that are pundits and just stick at it. I've never felt like I'm going to end up in that seat. I've always felt like, no, like as much as I enjoy co-coms, I feel like I'm going to present at some point. Yeah, I'm going to host.
Brother.
I want to ask the questions. Even when I was a pundit, you know, my punditry friends would be like next to me, and you know, Gary might be asking questions, or Jake Humphrey, whoever it is I was working with, Lindsay.
You want to guide the conversation, right?
I would ask somebody else a question.
Yeah.
Or would you, Rio, if you were doing that, what would you do? I just naturally do it.
Yeah.
And so I knew early that was going to be the progression for me.
Nice.
And it was just kind of like when and how. But then I'll do like World Cup final, and I'm on the commentary, and I'm like, oh my God, that was electric. That was the best thing ever to be properly involved in that.
It was, yeah.
So that's what I've spent the last like 4 years doing, really. Just figuring out every aspect of it and wanting to get to where I need to get to, basically.
But now you've experienced those, like, so post the different career now. So it's almost like you've had two careers, right? Yeah. Football on the pitch, off the pitch presenting stuff, right? Yeah. And you've had the thrills of presenting and hosting, doing live stuff, Ballon d'Or, all that. Well done, by the way. Right, mate, does it come anywhere near as close as like on the pitch? You've scoring a goal in the Premier League, getting through to the Champions League. Like,
not even close.
I'm guessing that the emotions. I know that like as you get older, right, everything I think anyway like kind of slows down. You experience everything a lot more acutely. But when you're younger and you're going through those emotions, it must have just been like the most overwhelming sensation.
There are certain moments in your career that for some reason just sit with you, and there are certain people that sit with you, and there are certain moments and conversations that sit with you. And I've forgotten a lot about my career. You just do. I don't know whether I kind of like, because of my injury, I like compartmentalized it and kind of went, because the way I finished, it was almost very traumatic. Yeah. So I kind of went, I must have put it somewhere in my brain and just kind of gone, forget about that, move on.
To protect yourself, right?
I think so, yeah, because I still to this day have dreams about me in training. Like I'd be like in training, popping it around, and then I wake up and I'm like, I'm not a footballer anymore. And it kills. You're like, oh God, I used to love that. But one of the people I just never seem to forget about in terms of a conversation was being at, and it's because I know at the time I wasn't listening.
Okay.
I took it in, but I didn't listen.
Yeah.
And I was sat, when I was at Newcastle, I used to have Alan Shearer sat here.
Legend.
I was here, and I had Gary Speed on that side of me.
Oh my God.
So it was just like two greats,
absolute greats,
so much experience, and I was sat either side of them. And I was just in autopilot. It was just like, man. You know, playing for England. I'm like third most expensive teenager in the world. I'm making money.
And you're going, I'm a top dog.
I've got everything going for me at the minute. And we're like third in the league. I'm playing Champions League football. And I'll just never forget Gary Speed just going, it's going really well for you at the minute, but take it all in because blink and blink and it goes. And I specifically remember going, yeah, I know Gary, and like getting up and walking off. And it did. You blinked and it vanished. And
it does go, right?
Well, he was at the back end. He must have been like 35 around that time, playing for Newcastle, like who were a big team in the Champions League at that particular time, and you know, talking to a 19-year-old and giving me some wisdom. And I obviously took it in, but didn't.
But
at the
delayed.
time.
You took it.
For some reason, it's one of the things. Yeah, it's one of the things that stuck with me.
But then, but I feel like it must be so hard to be that young, and as you say, like encounter all of this success and kind of. You know, all this potential at such a young age and not ignore it. How can you really take that on board and like take it in its full measure, right?
You feel like it's gonna last. I remember winning my only Young Player of the Year award, right? And I was at the Grosvenor Hotel, and I'm sat around a table, and it was an amazing night for Newcastle. Kieran Dyer was in Team of the Year. Craig Bellamy had won the Young Player of the year before me. I just won Young Player of the Year, and I think Bobby Robson was given some kind of like
lifetime achievement
award, and we had our own table, and there was all these celebs on our table and stuff like that. And then Thierry wins the big award.
Come on.
And I've won the other one. I'm speaking to Thierry after, and Thierry said to me, every single, or it might have been Keown, said to me, every single player in our dressing room voted for you. And I was like, that means Arsenal, great team. This is unbelievable. And I specifically remember winning that award and thinking, I can do this again for the next 3 years.
Yeah.
You know, if this is what it takes to win this award and then kick on.
Do you think it was almost too easy?
I think it's just a mixture of things. I think you just get complacent.
Yeah.
You just get complacent. Like I remember going into the next season, almost thinking, do the same. The same's not enough. That's the problem.
Yeah.
The problem is if you do the same, you're miles off it, because there's a bunch of people behind me, Scott Parker, Nigel Reo-Coker, Michael Carrick.
Yeah.
All these guys were looking at me and going, that I want that's mine.
So do you reckon that's
so they work harder?
People don't give enough credit to the people who keep on getting, but like you've got the Gareth Bale, Harry Kane, Ronaldo,
the
Messi,
guys
all that
that are there, that's why they're world class.
Yeah.
That is exactly what world class is. Consistency of a certain level over a period of time. Not 1 season or 2 seasons. You're a great player if you can do it that period of time. You know, I was that. I had big moments, and I had longevity over a period of time before I was injured. But a million miles from world class, because you're not doing it every minute of every single game for season, like Lampard.
Yeah.
Goal,
ridiculous.
Goal. Yeah. Every year, relentless.
Yeah.
Gerrard, the same. These guys were relentless, which is why they were the greatest the Premier League's ever seen.
Yeah.
And that's what it takes.
Yeah.
And I think for me, if anything, I just had a little bit too much success too soon. And it took me a while to regain, get back on this board, get back on track.
A little bit of humility and a bit more.
and get going again.
Yeah.
That's all it was. But that you know, you're seeing it in kids today.
Yeah. That's to be fair, I wanted to speak about that. But before we go on though, I know you mentioned about the Arsenal players voting for you, right? And I remember speaking to you a few months ago. Are you okay to speak about this?
Yeah.
Okay, so we almost signed you, Arsenal. I say we.
Yeah.
Arsenal and you were almost a thing.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean,
when you say how close as a percentage?
Well, weird. I mean, it didn't happen, so it must have been further away than I wanted it to be at the time.
Was it a little flirty one? It was
definitely. Look, I remember specifically kind of being sat there and watching Arsene Wenger talk about me on like in a news conference, saying like we rate the player highly, respect the player, and I did, as you well know, speak to Arsene Wenger about this recently when I was doing the FIFA Awards.
Yeah.
And you know, because I had a bit of an issue with Spurs fans when I first arrived.
Oh, really?
Well, before I kicked the ball, they booed me.
What, because you were at Forest?
No, I think it was because I was good mates with Ashley Cole at the time. So me and Ash had been me and Ash had been, we got in London together. I went on his stag do. We was always out together. There was me, Ash, Pennant, a couple of others. We were always out in London having a laugh. And then when the Arsenal stuff came about, I think I made it pretty clear
that you were open to it.
That I wanted to go to. I mean, look, Arsene Wenger was today's Pep Guardiola.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. Arsenal were playing the best brand of football, and he was bringing through the youngsters and developing them and creating them into superstars.
100%,
and that's where I saw myself, and it's where I wanted to be. So when I spoke to him recently, I said, look, what happened?
He's over it, by the way.
I just thought, why not?
No, of course.
Asked the question. I was like, because basically I was at FIFA in Zurich, and then the message came through, you know, Arsene's in his office upstairs, why didn't you go and speak to him? And I was like, okay, and then it kind of changed, and he was like, he's coming down anyway, why are you doing rehearsals? Have a chat. And we had a chat, blah, blah, blah. And I bottled it, and I wanted to ask him then, and I bottled it. So when I went to do the World Cup draw, after the draw had finished, there's a few people having a nice bit of dinner in the bar. There was David Dean, when Seedorf's there. I mean, every name you can think of. Yeah. And I was just like, what happened? You know, I know during that time when I was about to leave Newcastle, you were interested. Why didn't you buy me? And he said, look, the mistake I made, he said, I should have bought you when you left Forest.
Okay.
I knew about you at Forest, and I should have bought you then. He says, when you left Newcastle...
too expensive.
For the price they were asking for, we were in the process of doing the stadium. Number one, and also Cesc.
Oh, yeah.
They had some unbelievable young. He said I was very fortunate to know the market very well, and I think he bought through Cesc, Abu Dhabi he bought for very cheap.
Yeah, that was
Abu Dhabi is one
same
of the best
time.
players I've ever played against, by the way.
Really?
Yeah, and one of the most robbed players in football history, in my opinion, for his ability.
Yeah.
And you know, I understood where he was coming from. It was like, I'm building this stadium, I've got these good youngsters, and I will never forget being at Newcastle and I watched Arsenal play in the Charity Shield, and I think Cesc came on when he was like 15 or 16. I don't know, he was young.
Yeah. I think it was 15 or 16, yeah.
I watched him and I was like, he is outrageous.
Different gravy.
There's no way I'm going to Newcastle. I mean, there's no way I'm going to Arsenal now. He's that good.
Really?
He was that good. So it was like, yeah, I'm sure it was close.
Right?
If the circumstances were different, I think he probably would have took the punt.
Yeah.
But it didn't happen, and I ended up going to your rivals, and that's probably part of the reason why I used to be so pumped up against you lot.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, there was a little bit of subconscious kind of...
Two things.
I rate it.
It was like, get Spurs fans back on side, because they didn't like me at the start.
Oh no,
and I wanted them to love me.
Yeah.
I did. You know, as much as I talk about fans,
and they did.
This, that, and the other, it was important that my own fans understood and appreciated me. So it was like Arsenal calendar. That's the point there when you can get them back on side.
Yeah.
And every year it was. Yeah, I loved those battles.
Yeah.
Loved them.
You did turn up for those battles, to be fair.
Yeah.
Little word on Abu Dhabi, by the way, because
yeah.
obviously he's almost what their streets won't forget sort of type player, right? Where, but this is the thing, right? You've played with and against some unbelievable players. I mean, talking especially midfielders.
Oh man.
Vieira.
Yeah.
Fabregas. You
Gilberto,
played with
era.
Modric, whatever.
Yeah.
But Abu Dhabi, I'm guessing in terms of skill level wasn't. I mean, it was that fact that he was so young, right, and had the potential.
He was more skillful than Vieira.
Yeah.
Way more skillful than Vieira was mad skillful.
Yeah.
Diaby's feet were nuts.
Yeah.
Right? But Vieira was like vicious.
Just complete.
Dominating.
Yeah.
Just he'd run past you, run through you. Diaby had that almost like
Grace.
Musa Dembele thing. He'd face you up and go, I'm about to go by you and you're going to deal with it. Because he'd get to a certain point and just go like that. And he was just massive and gangly, and it was very hard to handle.
Yeah.
And anytime I didn't see his name on the team sheet for Arsenal, honestly,
relief.
like, Cesc was a way better player than Diaby.
Yeah.
But in terms of just like dealing with him, it was less personal.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Because Cesc was everywhere.
Yeah.
So he wasn't embarrassing you personally, he was just running the
whole
game.
team, yeah.
Whereas Diaby was like, 1v1, you're going to find this difficult today.
Yeah.
And honestly, like, I felt so sorry for him and he got done.
Yeah, he did.
He's got career ruined by one person.
Yeah, it was horrible. I remember that as well to this day. It's like, I'll never forget that.
Horrible.
But it's so funny as well to hear that, like, from one professional foot, because you always think, right, Premier League footballers, you're going like relatively equal footing, but you looking at another midfielder and going, oh God, I got to play against him. Because that's literally what normal footballers and normal people have to go through.
You know what? I remember Aaron Lennon coming to me one day. So we were playing against Reading. And I don't know whether Azza had his own personal beef with one of their players or not, but they had this kid in midfield called Kevin Harper, and I think he was at Arsenal as a youngster.
Kevin Harper, I don't recognise him.
I know, yeah. I mean, I didn't at the time, right?
Who's this, Donny?
I'm just warming up, minding my own business, right, at White Hart Lane. And Azza comes up to me and he goes, if you take that, you're nothing. And I'm like, take what? He went, have a look over there. And I was like, what? And he went, he's come out and warmed up in a tank top. And it was basically, you know those like...
the bibs?
The tight... No, you know the tight, like Nike compressed...
Oh, yeah.
It was like a cut off the sleeves one. And he went, look at him. He plays in centre midfield against you. He doesn't rate you one bit. He's come to your home in a Nike compressed tank top. And you're going to take that. And I remember thinking, I'm not having that. I don't even know this guy, but I'm not having it.
Yeah.
And... it fired me up.
Yeah.
I wish I had someone like that doing that on a more regular basis.
Did you actually dominate?
He got dealt with.
Okay, good.
He
there you
probably
go.
got dealt with. But
that's such a footballer term. Yeah, he got dealt with, mate.
But you know what? It's like these things happen at every level.
That's the amazing thing.
That's the funny thing about football.
I was going to speak. Well, you got to move on to Spurs.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's fun. Yeah. So
I was going to throw my green tea on you.
So you played in like legendary Spurs teams. I mean, there's so much that I want to speak about Spurs actually, because it is interesting, right? But like, you see the current Spurs team with the amazing players they have. compared to your Spurs team and like maybe the peak Spurs team that you had with like Luka, Bale, unbelievable. Do you reckon that was a better team than the current team? Your peak team?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
The best Spurs team I've seen during my time there and leaving is Pochettino's team of Rose, Walker, Vertonghen, Alderweireld, Wanyama and Dembele.
Class.
Ericsson,
Son, Kane.
Ericsson, Son, Dele.
Oh, Dele, yes.
Ericsson, Son, Dele, Kane up top. That's the best Spurs team I've seen in terms of the most complete.
Yeah.
There was not a gap on that pitch that was not like elite level player.
Yeah.
My team, I believe my team had some characters in there.
Well, Modric and Bale, truly world class. Truly.
You could put Van der Vaart in that as well.
And Van der Vaart, yeah.
Yeah, proper players, mate, honestly. The year we won the League Cup against Chelsea, that team, Woodgate and Ledley King at the back.
Yeah, class.
They get in a lot of teams, Woodgate and Ledders. So in midfield, you would have like, this is where the balance started to happen. It's like Aaron Lennon, but then it was like me and Didier Zakora in midfield, with like Steve Malbronk on the left.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
So it's like... Doesn't quite match up.
No, it's like, it's okay. But we knew each other's games.
Yeah.
And then we had obviously like Keno and Berbatov up front where it gets back to being like world class, do you know what I mean? Now, the year after, we signed Luka, then we signed Bale. The year we basically beat you 3-2 at your place was the best Tottenham team I think I played in.
Yeah.
Because we had Rafa at the peak of his powers. We had Bale at the peak of his powers. Yeah. Luka was going nuts in midfield.
Yeah.
You know, we had some proper players in that team. And then obviously we played Champions League. We did really well. I believe that team beats this team, definitely. Fair. I just think that team that Pochettino had is probably the best one.
Yeah, fair. No, I'd agree with you. I was going to say, right, so Bale, by the way, obviously, I think a lot of people would agree. People don't put enough respect on Bale's name because he's just had... the greatest British export ever. Yeah. By a mile.
Yeah, I think. Close, yeah.
But when he obviously was playing at Spurs and kind of like had his best year and then left for Madrid, obviously you got good money for it, but upset a lot of people, right? But do you not blame him at all? Not because it's Spurs or anything like that, but as a player, you have to kind of think about it from their perspective, right? Where it's like, it's your own career. And I mean, you know, like the windows of opportunity are surely really small to really capitalize on your value. Yeah. Right? So when it comes to now, like Kane, that sort of thing, do you think, or would you not blame Kane at all for like, at the end of the season saying, I've done my time, I'm still, in 3 years' time, he's not going to be anywhere near as valuable. But him at the end of this season going, I'm going to go to Real Madrid or whatever, if anyone, or City.
Right. If I was Harry Kane, I'd go Real Madrid. Right?
Yeah.
But Harry's got himself into a situation where he's also almost caused himself his own problem. Because of how important I think it is for him to be the Premier League's top goal scorer.
Oh, I see what you mean, yeah. That means a lot to him.
Well, he's come so far. He's only about 50-odd goals away.
So move, but stay in the Prem.
But then you bring in, then where you going? Can't go Arsenal.
No.
Chelsea would bite their hand off.
But
he's not going to get... Daniel's never going to deal with Chelsea ever again after the whole Hazard and Willian situation, which is why you don't see that transition really happening as much anymore.
City,
Liverpool just bought Nunez, and City have got Haaland.
Yeah.
So Man United is his only option. Are Man United going to win the league next year?
No.
So what are you going there for? Money? Spurs will give him whatever he wants.
Really though?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's on a fortune already.
Okay.
And if he turned around and says, I'll stay, I want 350, 400, I don't see a place where that doesn't happen. The only thing I think is how you're thinking, right, in terms of value, is how Daniel Levy's thinking.
Oh.
Nobody
I thought
else.
That's how players would think, though. Well, because like...
but where's he getting his... Like, when you're saying... For example, when Bale goes to Real Madrid for 100 million, you don't get like a massive chunk of that deal.
No. It's not even about the pure monetary thing. It's the
value out of
maximising the value of yourself in terms of how good I am. Because bearing in mind, like, unless you are like Bale, Cristiano, whatever, you might not maintain that level for another 8 years, right? So like, it's not like anyone's a flash in the pan, but say you have one incredible year, suddenly your value goes through the roof. Like, what a time to maximise that and go somewhere and make the best of your career, you know?
I mean, look, Benzema is a better footballer than Harry Kane, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. Harry Kane is so sick, mate.
He's unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think I personally think like Harry's game is actually closest to Benzema than anybody I can think of.
Yeah.
In terms of link up.
Yeah.
But Benzema's a god at Real Madrid.
Yeah.
And I don't know if we're being disrespectful, kind of going, because Benzema's getting on, how many more years can he do it when he's in a semi-final of another Champions League?
Yeah.
Doing the business,
yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And he's in the Copa del Rey final, doing the business. Yeah. So he's obviously not falling off the edge of a cliff. If the opportunity arose for Harry to go to Real Madrid, and I was Harry Kane, I'd be going to Real Madrid, purely and simply because he is always going to be known as a Premier League god.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
There's only him and Alan Shearer in that 200 bracket, right? He's going to be a god. And he deserves to have some icing on the cake of his trophy.
Go there, get a league title.
Maybe
get a little Champions League.
Mate, have you seen that Real Madrid team?
No, I know.
They're young.
Yeah, I know. They're
it's a young team. They're unreal.
Yeah.
Like, if, for example, they go, right, imagine like, I don't know, what's his name again, the owner, but he comes to you, the owner of Real Madrid, and goes, right, this year, I've got 2 buys. I'm going to get Jude Bellingham and I want you. Automatically, you're going, this team's going to win Champions League.
Yeah.
I'm going.
Yeah.
On the flip side to that, you know, Bayern Munich have just been embarrassed a little bit in the Champions League. They'll be looking to bolster their situation to guarantee Bundesliga title and a really good run at the Champions League, I think. Do you know what I mean? Because they just always are a good side. So he's got options, but I just don't see him leaving.
Okay.
I just don't see
that surprised me, but...
he should.
Yeah.
But he's not leaving the Premier League.
Yeah.
And if he's not leaving the Premier League, his only option is go Man United. If he goes Man United...
then it is sort of pointless.
He might fire them into a position where they might come third or second.
Yeah, they ain't going to be better than City.
Not better than Arsenal.
Or Arsenal.
They're not. They're not a better football team than Arsenal, and they're not a better football team than City.
Yeah.
And Harry Kane going there is going to add a bunch of goals, granted. What's that going to do to Rashford?
Yeah. Who's
now lighting up. You know, there's so many reasons why United probably shouldn't be looking at that option, and he doesn't need to look at that option.
Right. Can I ask you something about Spurs? Because...
Please.
Please. I don't know if you wanted me to ask this. Right. What's wrong with Spurs? I say that very generally. Yeah. I'll expand. Spurs as a club, I think we spoke briefly about this on BBC when the cameras weren't rolling, right? Yeah. And we were like, so Spurs can get world-class managers. They're in a world-class stadium, arguably the best football stadium in the world. Yeah. Right? They're top 4, challenging for top 4 every season. They've got world-class players. And then you see with this Conte stuff and then Poch leaving, right, was that something always breaks down. And I don't know what it is, whether it's like just unlucky with the managers or when the manager says, oh, it's the board level and fans say, oh, it's Levy's fault or board level, whatever. Like, what is the problem though?
Because you can be unlucky once. You can't be unlucky 3, 4, 5 times. There's an issue at that football club, which I think has been explained pretty well by Antonio Conte, in my opinion.
Oh, so you think he was right?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
Accurate?
I think he was very accurate, yeah. I think he was well within his rights to an extent to kind of like essentially just lose the plot, if you know what I mean, on the basis that he wants to win things. And, you know, when I was at the football club, there was really good players there. I never felt like there was... building towards, I don't know, trying to win anything, ever. Even the thought of winning things or the culture of the football club, which, by the way, historically, FA Cups, UEFA Cups, you know, you go back
legendary
to
players,
a lot of the legends,
goal scorers,
which is why the big reason why Spurs have a good fan base is because of that era of the team and the players they had, you know. And it's where the argument between like Levy is raised, right?
Yeah.
When I was at Newcastle, from memory, and I might get attacked here, Spurs were a mid-table Premier League team. Yeah. Very good players, very experienced players, but they were a mid-table Premier League team.
Level,
They weren't. Yeah. You had, you know, up there was basically United, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man United, Liverpool, Newcastle, all battling it out for those European places. Can't think of anybody else. I'm sure there was. And Spurs were never really a part of that conversation. Entered Daniel Levy in 2001, I think it was. Yeah. and comes in, starts buying players like Michael Carrick, Defoe, Pedro Mendes, Robbie Keane.
Yeah.
And you're looking at them going, these are becoming a bit of a problem. I remember getting them getting Stefan Dalma from Inter Milan.
Yeah.
2002-3, we play him in the quarterfinal of the FA Cup, I think 2002-3. And we beat them 1-0. Canute absolutely beat us up at St James's Park. Clivert got us the winner. And I remember coming off the pitch thinking, they're coming. They're a proper team. So and then when I arrived, right?
Yeah.
The goal was set, Champions League. We want to be a Champions League team.
Yeah.
First season, we miss out, Lasagna Gate, whatever. I ain't talking about it. Don't go there. All right, spoke about it.
Did you have the shits?
I didn't. I wasn't playing. So I was all right, but I witnessed it. It weren't pretty. So we miss out by a point, or whatever, to you lot, last game of the season. We have a little bit of a tail off. We sign some players again. Bang, knock it down the road. We're in the Champions League, right? My team achieved what was set out to me when I arrived. We want to be a Champions League team. Yeah. I just don't think they've got out of that mindset. They've not been. But then the stadium's gone one way. The training ground's gone one way. They've not been able to convert their mindset into a winning team. The culture at the club is not a winning culture.
But that's the thing. Is that I don't know if that's just you need to bring in a revolutionary manager or it's Levy's fault or what.
They've brought in the revolutionary managers. They've brought in winners, and what happens at the top, on a managerial point of view, is just not matched. And I think at times that's been the manager's faults, and I think at times that's been the owner's fault. Okay. There always comes that kind of like stick or twist moment in every relationship. Yeah. And they've just had it with Antonio Conte, right? Granted, he said what he said, right? The powers that be could have gone, let's have a really good think about this. Yeah. Is he wrong? Because there's been wrong for being outspoken and speaking out of place.
Yeah, and mugging you off.
And you're my employee. I forget. Sorry.
Yeah, you can swear, mate.
Okay. Oh, I'm not on the beep. Perfect. Yeah. I basically run you. Yeah. I pay your wages. So therefore, you should be not speaking out of turn like that. Yeah. But when I break down what he's actually saying, is he wrong? Yeah. So as a board, you should be going, he's got a point. Mm. They could have doubled down and gone, you know what? We've got one here. He's a winner. Yeah. He's not happy. Maybe we have just fell a little bit short on what we should be giving him. Let's back him. Yeah, but they could have done.
Yeah, they could have.
They could have done, but they're not going to do that because obviously you got to show your power and your respect levels and this, that, and the other. Yeah. But bearing in mind, Spurs have sacked a manager before a League Cup final, and they've just sacked a manager in the run into to get into the top four. You couldn't have two more ridiculous things happen to a football club. You couldn't. So unfortunately, when these things are happening, the finger points one way. Yeah. And it's pointing upwards right now at ENIC and at Daniel Levy. And rightly so, because I don't feel like they're not. Yeah, they didn't support Poch, and it doesn't feel like they're supporting their managers. And they'd probably argue, well, we have because we've bought this person and that player and spent this money. I think the bottom line of it is Conte had a point. Mm. And I felt it when I was there. Yeah. And you kind of just coast along with we lost today. Oh, never mind. Yeah. Whereas other clubs, no.
That's the thing, because it's just, from the outside looking, obviously, like we as fans, like know virtually nothing. Mm. But then we see all these things and like there is obviously just something not right, and I can't picture. But then you don't want to just immediately go, the players, they're not. Even though in my head I'm going like, this team is good enough to finish top four, right? They got Harry Kane, Son, but then like, Son going through his goal drought and the team not playing well or going ahead and then losing in the last minute. Like there is something not right, and as a player, you would know. Like I always think it's quite harsh to blame the manager as much as like the players, but I don't know if you think it's not right.
I do tend to agree with that, but I do, it's the manager's job to create the culture at a football club. Mm. So Antonio Conte's rant was only right in terms of he's been inside, he's had a look around, and he spoke a lot of truth. Mm. But it was his job. He's been brought in to change that. Yeah, yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like you're the apparently serial winner and like disciplinarian that is the reason I've got you here, because we haven't got this winning culture at the football club. Yeah. I'm sat there going, I need a winner. I need someone to, you're my guy. And you've not been able to change the culture at the club. Yeah. That's your problem. And that's where I had a problem with what Antonio Conte said. He said he separated himself from the statement. Yeah. It is the big issue at that football club that they desperately need to solve. you lot have got recent history, and it's enough to fall back on because you walk through the corridors and you see Mikel Arteta, the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And you see, managers before FA Cup and Wenger with Premier Leagues, and you feel that as a manager.
Yeah.
You walk through White Hart Lane, you got me with the League Cup, bro, like that, buzzing.
Legend.
Still the last player to win something. Still the last player to win something.
Legend of the club.
No, but honestly, I really feel for Spurs fans right
now.
now. Because, like you said, it's all there. But just to kind of probably wrap up this section, I don't know if you've got more to say, but
no. After this, we're done with Spurs.
With Antonio Conte, all I will say is I had a really good chat with Cesc Fabregas about him, and Cesc told me that he was one of the best managers he worked with.
Yeah, at Chelsea, right?
Yeah, he was one of the most difficult at the time in terms of the work that they put them through.
Okay.
And what I formulated from our conversation, this is my opinion, not Cesc's, because he didn't actually physically say this, but what I formulated from our chat was that it's a short relationship.
Yeah, it's not built for long term.
He drains you as a player because it's so monotonous. The training, when I look at Son play now, it's like you've been Conte'd type thing. That's how I look at it in my mind.
Conte, that's class.
There's certain managers that just turn up and they go, right, what are we doing today? Oh, we're doing shape. Great, doing shape again. What are we doing today? Shape. No shooting? No, shape. Okay. And you're like, great. And Son just looks like he don't enjoy football anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
He needs somebody fresh through the door.
That's interesting. Okay, so for you as a player, what did you prefer? Did you prefer, because you had, Harry Redknapp, you got AVB, so you've had the... non-English, you've got the foreign visionary manager, you've got Harry, which is English manager. What did you prefer as a player?
The best I had was Bobby. So Bobby Robson was the best I had. Fair. And Bobby was a mixture of both. Bobby knew how to set up a team and do shape and play 11v11s. And, it's little things with managers. I had managers that sometimes always played short-sided games, which are great. Yeah. Until you go onto a real pitch on a Saturday afternoon and you're thinking, why can't I make that run? Oh, it's because we're playing from halfway line every day. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Whereas Bobby was he was a tactician. He had the ability to kind of get into you if you weren't delivering. He had apps, and then he had those fun days. Oh, we're having a five-a-side today. We're going to have fun. He was the perfect balance for me that I had in my career. The rest of them had flaws everywhere.
Obviously, back in the day, right? Obviously, we were talking about this just off camera as well before, right? Booze was the thing. Yeah. And obviously, booze is still around, and you've still got players going out, whatever. But it's less.
I don't think.
I say it's less common. No, it's still common, but it's less accepted, right? Is that back in the day?
There's no Tuesday clubs, I don't think.
Yeah. But now, obviously, everyone. Were even players back in the day on snus back in the day? Early career for you.
So I never knew about snus. Ever, right? So my first incidents that I ever came across with snus was Timotanio who was Finnish.
Okay, so the Scandinavian...
The Scandinavian thing. Yeah. But he had it in raw form.
Oh, God.
But we used to be it's just tobacco.
The chewing tobacco type thing.
So we used to be going to games and he had this little pot and he just used to lift up his and brush it down like this and he'd just be there like that. Talking to you, and you'd be like, Timo, what's wrong with you? And he'd be like, stuff dripping down his, he's spitting everywhere. And you're like, what's going on here? Then he'd take it out, put it in the pot. And I never even questioned it. Yeah. I didn't know what it was. Yeah. And then at the back end of my career, when I went to QPR, everyone was on it.
So it's rife.
Yeah. Everyone. I mean, to the point where I'm getting changed before a game. This team's getting relegated, by the way. I've turned up looking at the team I've turned up January thinking, hang on a minute, we've got Loic Remy, Esteban Granero at midfield.
Yeah, we've got players.
Jose Basinger at right back, myself, Adel Tarat's in the team, I'm like, this team's not going down, we've got some players. And then I arrived and went, oh, right, yeah, this team's going down. But honestly, I'll be getting changed, turn around, the whole floor is full of snus. There was no even hiding it. Players are just taking it out and throwing it on the floor. And I'm just like, this is mad. Yeah. I mean, I personally don't take it because I've just heard horror stories. So, it's...
Well, because it's not something... I think it's only really recently that people have cottoned on to snus culture, especially in football. I know it's been around for a really long time, but it's sort of like leaked its way out into the general public, where now
players are
the
getting
public,
caught.
exactly,
Like,
yeah, you see everyone with their
that
pots
picture of Vardy like getting on the England coach and he's just holding it in his hand like he don't care.
Yeah,
like
but the thing is though, I always feel like, even back in the day, you know, I don't know what your thing was, but everyone's got to have their thing, man. Like, you can't be ultra, yeah,
100%.
because obviously you can't. It's like sports in the US. You can't do drugs, or you can't be found with like marijuana or anything, because obviously you get doped. You get dope tested all the time, right? So like, you've got to almost like pick your poison. Ideally, no one would do anything. Everyone would be the most professional thing.
Timbsy, it's this. It's simple. It's a cultural thing. So when you go and play in Italy, after games, everyone has a fag. Everyone's having, you know, I've heard stories about like players who play for like Milan half time, like lighting up and sat there listening to team talks and stuff like that. Yeah. And but because culturally in Italy, around lunch times, they have a cigarette and a coffee. Yeah. So nobody frowns upon it.
If anything, England, that's cool.
Everyone's just like, well, and then the like Italians will look at like England footballers and go, God, just pint monsters. All they do is just drink pints, you get a big belly, big girl, you know, it's not healthy, you know. So it's all just a cultural thing. And like right now, obviously a lot of the players are going through this like snus culture or whatever, which wasn't around when I was playing. But like for me, like my escapism was alcohol probably.
Yeah, just going out with the boys.
Going out with the boys. Yeah. Would be like my date, like week to week type escapism.
That's what most players' escape is, right? It's just like going out with the boys, feeling normal.
I think so, yeah. I remember like, you know, finishing games on a Saturday, and I used to live next door to Craig Bellamy, and he'd just like, I would literally go in. I was 18 years old. I'd go in, drop my bags, I'd run them straight upstairs. I had my mate with me. I'd be picking my outfit. As I'm about to go downstairs, bang, 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 Bella's would be at my door, and he'd come flying through, and he'd be like, "What about him today?" And I'm like, "What do you mean?" And we'd sit there for about an hour and a half talking about the game. He's like obsessed with football, which is why he's in management.
And you just wanted to just...
I'm trying to get out and go and get on it with my mates. Do you know what I mean? The two things I had was that, and then every summer I did something nuts, like dyed my hair blonde, pierced my eyebrow 1 year.
Raw, JJ, I wish I was about for that phase.
I remember coming back like to St James's Park one day for training with my eyebrow pierced, and Bobby was like, what the hell?
Do you reckon if you could go back to the beginning, would you now, because obviously now we love golf, right?
Yeah.
Would you just do golf? Or are you glad you went through those phases?
I don't think it's easy to say. I'd have changed a lot, Timbsy, a lot, trust me. No, I mean, there's
an angel.
There's a lot of things you change in the past, but you can't live like that. Golf,
it's just the greatest.
I would have loved to have started a little bit earlier, don't get me wrong, but would I swap them for some of my crazy times? Probably no.
Yeah, fair. No, I think that's amazing. Yeah. That's great.
Yeah. So, and plus I was doing it with no social media, so like, hopefully it's dead and buried.
Well done, sir. You escaped. You escaped
escaped the matrix.
Just a final look back, right, on your career. Is there anything like that you regret at all? Like, so the best moment of your career, the one that you will hold on to forever, but also is there anything that like you can maybe change or do differently?
Yeah, loads.
I know loads.
No, but I'll be honest with you, like, don't take the piss. Right. One of the big things, right, I wish I would have done then, and something was telling me to do it, but you wasn't actually allowed to do it at the time for insurance reasons, right? But when I arrived at Newcastle, there was a fitness coach there called Paul Winsper. Yeah. So ahead of his time.
Really?
Like you would not believe. Yeah. I arrived and he went, "You're mine. I'm going to get hold of you." Nice. Because I was so skinny, but I was so fit. Yeah. And he was like, "We're going to make you strong. I'm going to make..." And my training sessions were harder than games. I used to finish games and think I could play another one. But he'd have me in the gym, and there would me, him and Bella's, sometimes Kieran when he was fit, and we'd be doing like squat, so drop the bar,
strength sessions.
bound, sprint, stop type stuff. Yeah. And we'd be doing it over and over again. And you go into games, my legs are feeling fit as, and that was the year I won Young Player of the Year. And I cruised through that year. Yeah. And I come in the next year, and he's not there. And I'm like, "Where's Windy?" And they're like, "Oh, he's been poached by Nike." So Nike came in and took him to Oregon and offered him the job of his life. No. And it was the first, like, I didn't think anything of it because I just thought, well, I'll be fine. That's you know, I'm fit. I'm the one that's fit. And I just wasn't as fit or as strong. The games became a little bit harder. And the whole idea, like what Ronaldo's done, of treating your body as a business, having a fitness coach, having your own like masseurs and having your own chef and stuff like that. Realistically, when I look back, I should have just gone to the football club and said, look, what are Nike offering him? I'll pay it him.
Yeah.
I'll pay him that, but you lot are paying it him. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
because
he's that good.
Does that for me, and he's doing it for him, so he's making you lot money. So whatever he's leaving, pay him the money. That I was like 19 years old, and at the same time, when I know about insurance purposes, is that back then, if you hired your own people, your own physios and your own this and your own that, if anything happened to you, you weren't really covered because they were like, well, we didn't hire them. So whatever they were doing with you, that's your fault.
Okay.
So you weren't really covered. So, but that for me was the only thing. If I'd have had him, I feel like the mentality, it's like having a caddy.
Yeah.
They're just there.
Ultra bit of professionalism
just
and a bit more.
Looking after you a little bit more than, or actually just getting the best out of your physique, really, as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's the one thing that I probably would have changed.
Okay, fair. But also off the pitch now.
Yeah.
Flourishing media career, let's call it, broadcasting career.
Oh, thank you.
I'm guessing you know you've got a lot on the horizon, but is there anything that in the next few years you want to? Because there's not as clear a path. With football, right? You're a kid, you're a wonder kid, and you've got all these potential career paths, but you're still playing football. It's just for a different club. But with this, I'm guessing it's far more open and varied.
I think so, and I've had a bit of everything, and I know what I like, I know what I don't like. I remember I get asked this question all the time, like, what do you want to do? What's the goal? You know, when I'm meeting with my agent, what's this? Where do you want to be 10 years time? Where do you want to be 5 years time? And I was sat here like having a good think about it to myself the other day, and I just thought, and the only way I could come up with any answers was, what makes you happy? Does that make you happy when you go and do that? Or is it a job?
Okay.
Does that make you happy when you go and do that? Or do you feel like, oh, I'm not looking forward to doing that today? And I'm starting to take away the things that don't make me happy anymore, is the plan. And as much as I love presenting and being on like the One Show, I love because it's opened up a whole different
world to you.
Yeah, like I'm meeting new people and I'm having so much fun on this show. Like Alex is just the best, honestly. Like we have loads of fun. Ronan's brilliant. There's an element of me that wants to get into like ownership more of shows and stuff like that. I want to get on the other side of things.
You want to become The Rock?
Oh, well, that'd be great. Yeah. I mean, if you become a billionaire, that's a bit different. But I mean, just like have a bit more, I know what you mean, not be as much of a like slave to the trade type mentality.
I get what you mean.
And also like from a creative standpoint.
Yeah, have more of a say in what you're doing.
I sit and I'm doing things sometimes, and I'm like, this would be so much better if it was done. But I can do that now.
As you say, with like what you consider work versus what you actually really enjoy doing, like there's a lot of our work, right? That I say a lot of our work. Some of the work that we do, I think. This is work. Yeah. It's still fun, but it's work. I'd rather not do this, but it's work and it's fun and I make the most of it.
There you go.
But some of it is also like, nah, this is sick.
Correct.
Like live stuff, the buzz I get from live.
Can't beat it.
Yeah.
So it's
such a rush.
Yeah. And then you can't beat that feeling of something might go wrong.
Yeah. But then also when you do it and you nail it, you're like, buzz. I'm fucking sick. It's so good.
It's so true. It is so true. So it's just like, you get to this stage and you've been through it a little bit yourself as well, where you're just like, I don't want to go and do that, don't want to go and do this. And also like we were having a little chat off here then, weren't we, about even like the snus thing. Yeah. Can we talk about the snus? Shall we? I don't want to be in that place.
Exactly.
I'm 40 years old with 4 kids. I want to talk about what I want to talk about.
Yeah, no, but exactly. This is why I really like doing this, right? Because it's ownership of my thing. Yeah. This is my show. I can literally do what I want. That's what I'm saying, yeah. And that's within normal social boundaries and stuff.
But then all it takes is like with me, like I've got quite a lot of brands I work with.
Yeah.
And all it takes is one of those brands to pick up on something I've said on a pod and be like,
yeah. But that's what I know. But there's
not
nothing
in keeping with what we're.
But there's nothing that we've said that's untoward or whatever. We're sweet. We're all good.
One of the things I've heard a lot of when it comes, and you might even know more than me about this because you're around this group of players more than me. One of the things I've heard about Jude Bellingham is that from a parenting standpoint, his support system is incredible. And you can almost see it in the maturity of him as a young man. That he's got that disciplinarian type background, and from my understanding, his dad was in the police force and this, that, and the other. It's one of the big reasons why that kid's not going to stop.
Yeah.
And why he's going to be successful.
Can go to the top. Yeah.
He's going to go right.
I mean, he will, because he's an absolute machine. Yeah. I love him.
And he's not going to play for
your
football club.
And he's such a good boy as well. He's such a good boy.
Do you think he'll go to Arsenal?
I would love him to.
Isn't that mad, though? Like, you're top of the league right now.
Yeah.
Like, why can't you attract to Jude Bellingham?
But it's just too much dough. It's too much dough.
It's too much dough. You were paying Ozil and Sanchez 400 grand a week the other day.
Yeah, but no, I'm saying to get him.
Oh, you're going to have to pay. Out. The last 2 windows you spent 200 million.
But that's the thing. I don't know. I'm just a stupid fan. This is what I was just talking about.
You're going to go and buy Casado for 60 mil?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, mate.
Why is your voice getting so high? Like,
because I'm defence mode now. You're having a go at me. It's like, I'm just an idiot.
We got to go, but you're going to win the league.
Oh, yeah. So, that is it. It's going to be really close. Well, I'm going to the game on Wednesday.
Good luck.
Thank you, mate. Are you going to be there?
No, I'm doing Spurs on Thursday against United.
Ooh.
Wrap it up.
Big game, yeah. Okay. Well, Jay, thank you so much, man. Honestly,
love you,
I really appreciate it.
I absolutely love you.
Thank you so much, man. Guys, I hope you enjoyed Tea with Timbsy. Season 3 is a go. If you did enjoy, obviously leave a like, comment below. And I'll see you next week for a new episode. Bye.